Hello everybody, I'm Sayaji Dan. I'm the owner of the One World Martial Arts and this school, One World Karate. And I'm also the founder of Texas Adaptive Sports and Recreation. I'm going to be doing YouTube videos probably about once a week for the next year or so, answering questions that I get a lot from students and parents of students. And also going to talk a little bit about, in conjunction with those answers, some of the philosophy that goes along behind it. We are fairly modern and, well, we're a thoroughly modern martial arts program. And so as such, we kind of break a lot of the old traditional models. I think that's a very good thing. Some of it would be somewhat controversial. There are things I tend to talk about and say that some people find, for whatever reason, to be worthy of confrontation. So I am prepared for occasionally to get some angry comments. It's not my goal. It's not my purpose. My purpose is to answer questions that come in. This first video, we're going to discuss a little bit about the huge difference in my program with anyone else's, and that is that my program and my in-person school and my online presence and my Zoom classes and the videos that I do, one, I do all of that. I have white through black in video format, but I don't just have it in video format, I have it in 3 video formats. I have it white through black for the physically abled body. I have white to black belt for mobility assisted, such as canes and crutches and walkers. And I have a seated program, white through black, for students that are in wheelchairs. Because my program is inclusive and adapted. I'm a former special education teacher. My nonprofit, Texas Adaptive Sports and Recreation, has as its goal the teaching and the creation of inclusive and adapted programs. So my school here in North Austin is something of a test bed. Been doing it for 12 years. It works very, very, very well. The science is sound and the history is clear. It works. What works? Inclusion and adaptation. Here's the problem. Inclusion and adaptation is becoming a hot buzzword. So every martial arts school in America, which is an unregulated program, we don't regulate martial arts schools in America. Anyone can open a martial arts school, call themselves a grand poobah, and they can also say that they are teaching inclusive and adapted programs. There's no checks and balances there. And because it's now a hot button topic, they all say they do. Let me give you a little spoiler alert. They don't. Teaching inclusion and adaptation requires skill, it requires training, it requires knowledge, and they don't have it. You can't just walk up and say, I'm going to be a special education teacher now. You have to learn how to be one. So when someone says, let's say a parent comes in and says, I have a student that, for example, is on the autism spectrum. And they come and they say, can you work with that? They go, oh yeah, we've got an inclusive adapted program for students of all abilities and no problem. And what they're really saying is, yes, please pay me $140 a month for classes. So then they sign the child up and they have trouble getting through to the child and they have trouble teaching to the child's strengths and they have trouble adapting the program because they're teaching cookie cutter, basic, everyone must do the same thing. And so the child winds up getting put in the back of the mats, the child misbehaves, the child gets in trouble, the child hates it, and they quit and they leave. And the parents leave thinking, at best, that was a bad teacher. But they might leave thinking, martial arts isn't right for my student, my child. This isn't going to work for them. And then they go back to the same old thing, trying to find something for their child to be involved in. And that is completely unfair because martial arts is a fantastic vehicle for people of all abilities. But the instructors have to know what they're doing, okay? Because what happened in that situation was bad teaching, okay? Anyone can teach. That doesn't make them a teacher. A teacher has to have the knowledge, the pedagogy, the art and science of delivering education. This school is thoroughly modern. We teach things in a modern way. I love tradition as much as the next person. We wear our uniforms, we wear our belts. We do not teach like it's 1776. We are way smarter than that. We know better ways to teach. We do not have to teach like it's 1600. We don't have to teach the way our instructor taught, the way his instructor taught, the way his instructor taught, the way his instructor taught, because that's the right way to do it. No, it's not. It's not the right way to do it. Okay? It was a way to do it. It was a way that worked. Okay? For some. What we know about education today is that everyone learns differently. And if you can't deliver that instruction so that everyone can learn, you're not a good teacher. Sorry. If you want to be a black belt, you have to train for years. Years and years and years. Our system, the bare minimum is 5 years to get a black belt. I went to school for 8 years to get a master's degree in special education. If you train a few years, get a black belt, open a school, and call yourself a teacher, you're not a teacher. You don't have the experience, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the skills. You have to learn how to be a teacher. And so, that's why I founded the nonprofit, to help people become teachers. And they don't need me, you don't need me. You can learn to be a teacher in lots of different ways. You can go to a community college and take some teaching courses, some pedagogy classes. Learn about classroom management. You can learn about differentiated instruction. They teach classes on that. You can go do it. The problem is, in an unregulated industry like the United States martial arts schools, the instructors don't. So, what does that mean? I'm inclusive and adapted. I have an adapted program based on physical challenges that my students face. When it comes to things like cognitive delays, I simply put my students together. Age-appropriate, belt-appropriate classes. That's inclusion. Inclusion is including people. Martial arts is, at its heart, a solitary pursuit. In other words, most of martial arts is about becoming the best human being you can be. Protecting yourself, enriching yourself, actualizing, okay? That's martial arts. If it's pure self-defense, you've got all sorts of self-defense classes out there you can buy that and attend that. It's just self-defense. And in a modern day, that might involve handguns, that might involve whatever, okay? Martial arts is a whole life pursuit. It's not just self-defense. Self-defense is incredibly important, but it's about improving yourself. So why can't you become the best person you can be while across from you in another square on your mat is someone in a wheelchair becoming the best person they can be? Why can't we all work together? Short answer is we can if your instructors can do it right. So my school is inclusive. Everyone trains together. Now, not everyone can do that, especially when they're first learning how to be a good instructor. First, they might need to come up with an adapted program and offer a special class. That's great. It's wonderful. I hope every martial arts school in America gets a quality adapted program in their school, because 20% of the world needs an adapted program. 2 out of 10 human beings have a special need or a disability. And if you want to reach them, and you want to teach them, and you want to help them become the best person they can be through martial arts, you need to have a program for them. And if in the beginning you can't do full inclusion, that's okay. If you have that adapted program, you will continue to teach. You will become a better teacher through trial and error, through attending classes. You'll get out there, maybe you'll contact me or someone like me who offers programs like that. And then maybe one day you'll be able to fold it all into inclusion. But adapted is adapted, and that's a wonderful start. If you've got a class twice a week for students with special needs and disabilities, and they can come in that twice a week and get great instruction and become the best person they can be, that's fantastic. However, we all should be striving to put the whole world together. That's inclusion. You should be striving to get those students out of the adapted program and into your regular program while still teaching them adapted martial arts. That's what I do here. Everyone gets on the mat, age appropriate, belt appropriate ranks, training together in their different curriculums, and I have 2, 3 instructors out here, and it does require some modification of my program. I keep my classes small. I have lots of staff. That means I'm not I got 600 students in 7 schools and I'm making $17 billion a year. No, I'm making a teacher's salary, because that's what I am. I'm a teacher. Okay? But that's my decision, that's my goal, that's my passion, and that's what we do here. And it drives me absolutely crazy when someone who has no experience whatsoever working with the special needs population says they have an adapted program, and I see them and they're putting the kids in the back row and ignoring them because that's how they deal with it. Okay, that's not fair to the student, that's not fair to the parents, that's not fair to the other members of your school, and it's not fair to you as an instructor. We should all strive to be the best we can be. And if you're going to own a martial arts school, you should be the best teacher you can be. If you're going to train in a martial arts school, you should want a diverse and inclusive group of people here. It will help you learn. It'll help you become a better person, which is the goal of martial arts. So that's our philosophy and where we come from in the One World Martial Arts community. And that's why I go and travel the world to teach people how to do programs like this. I've been very lucky so far. I've done it 7 or 8 schools in the Texas area, and all of them are doing well. And so, and being close, I can back them up. And we've got a yearly tournament where we bring all our programs together. Have 80, 100 students competing, all of them in adapted divisions, and it's been really great. My school, I have the head of my school now came up through my program. He's extremely high functioning, but he's on the autism spectrum. I have a black belt that has cerebral palsy. I have a lot of high-ranking students with other challenges, and they all earn their belts. It takes them years and years and years to get their black belts. We treat it like a special education curriculum in that everyone gets what's known in special education as an individual education plan. Here in Texas, they call it an ARD because Texas likes to be difficult. But it's basically an individual education plan. You should be doing that anyway for all of your students. You can have a curriculum, everybody has to reach things, and they've got to reach it at a level, but you have to understand that every student will reach a different level. And that level should be good enough, or it should not be good enough. And you've got to get to know your students and know how far and how hard you can push them. I believe for example, my black belt that has cerebral palsy, I believe it took him 7 years to get his black belt because he didn't earn it until he's 7 years in, because you have to earn the black belt. It's not, we don't do like time served or any of that silly stuff. All of our black belts are earned by reaching benchmarks that are measurable. Okay, so that's another thing that we have to disabuse people of, the notion that special needs or adapted martial arts is come on in and every 3 months I give you a belt, and then 4 years and 9 months later you're a black belt. Yay, everybody clap. No, that's not what we do. We make you earn it. We might have to adapt things, we have to change things. Might not be able to do all the kicks a standing student can because you're, I don't know, in a wheelchair, but you can do other things. And so we adapt and we change and we push and we push and we push and we make them be the best they can be. It's incredibly rewarding. And I believe every martial arts school should have a fully functioning, quality, adapted program that they are gearing up and learning and transitioning into inclusive program. Okay? That's why when I say I'm inclusive and adapted, I don't mean I'm like everybody else. I don't think anybody else is like me. I don't know of any other school in the world like me. And I'm pretty proud of that. So, there you have it. Thanks for listening to me. That's our first video. That's the One World Martial Arts way. That's our primary theory and philosophy of how we teach. And you can ask questions, and maybe some questions that come out on this video will be something I'll answer later, or maybe I'll answer in the comments, or if it's a short question, maybe I'll answer it on TikTok. So I'll have short form videos.